Hey guys, Jack Skeleton here. It's that spooky time of year right now, guys. We've raced through Spooktober and Halloween's almost upon us. Over the past couple of years, me and my friends have decided to watch a whole range of horror movies. So today I thought I'd take the opportunity to delve into the back catalogue of films and just give my review on whether they're hilariously bad or just abysmal. There may be minor spoilers in this video, but nothing that will ruin your viewing experience too much. So without further ado, we'll start with The Conjuring 2. Now you may have noticed I didn't say The Conjuring 1 there, and that's because I missed the first ever movie night, and The Conjuring 2 is actually the first horror movie I ever watched, unless you're counting Coraline or watching PewDiePie play Outlast. As a result, I found it pretty scary. It centres around a family in London who mess with a Ouija board and then they get haunted by an old grumpy man. Now this guy is terrifying. He's the scariest thing about the movie. His kind of calling card is that he repeats his name all the time. So when you hear him go, Bill, 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 you know you're just in for a bit of a time and a bit of a thrill ride. Unfortunately, I think the movie falls a little bit flat at the end when you find out that Bill's actually being controlled by this nun, and the nun's just not as scary, she's not as intimidating, you know, she's just a bit ridiculous, but more on her later. In keeping with the Conjuring universe, or at least I think it's the Conjuring universe, the next movie we watched was Annabelle. I would recommend this movie if you like Chucky, if you're just generally a fan of demon gremlin children, if you like cherubs, you know, if you like a bit of, if you like the Muppets, all of these things, they just relate back to this creepy doll. Personally, I'm not a fan of creepy dolls. The creepiest doll I had growing up, the creepiest doll I had growing up was this Piplup doll, and that's just because I was afraid he was going to water gun me. And he's actually very cute, so. Annabelle, as far as I remember, it was pretty fun to watch. Me and my friends were just laughing at all the ridiculous situations, like, there's this moment where, I think I'm remembering this right, a priest is like driving in his car and he just puts the doll in the back seat instead of putting it in the boot. That's the trunk for Americans. I would say it's probably also the best made of the Conjuring universe movies, possibly with the exception of The Exorcist, but it's not too hard to do much better than The Nun. Speaking of which, I also watched The Nun. Hi everyone, it's Jude from the future here. I just had to make a small intervention because I realised as I was editing this and I was watching the clips for the Nun, the movie I'm about to talk about, I was watching the trailers thinking, I don't remember any of this, and then I sort of looked into it and I realised there's actually two films called The Nun. So I guess the version that we watched when we were doing this movie night was the 2005 version, and it was absolutely horrendous, but it's not the version that's related to the Conjuring universe at all. That version came out quite recently. But just know that when I'm talking about The Nun in this version, it's not the Conjuring version, it's the really bad 2005 version. Okay, sorry, I just had to make that clear because I just found that out now. It's quite possibly the worst movie I've ever watched. The Conjuring, as I like to call it, focuses on the evil nun lady demon's backstory from the second Conjuring. The nun can teleport around places using water, so you just get this like really terrible CGI water nun appearing on screen all the time. Also, this scene is so as far as I'm aware, the main characters are moving to Spain because they're trying to find out about the nun because she used to live in a monastery in Spain, and they're on the plane and they're just they're just staring out the window, watching the rain come down, and then they look away from the window for a second, and then when they look back, when the main character looks back, the nun is just hanging onto the wing of the plane. Why is she doing this? Why? Anyway, I would recommend watching The Conjuring. I would recommend watching it with friends for moments like that, and also for moments like there's this time where this lady gets her arms cut off by a falling elevator. It's just like so gruesome and stupid that it's very funny. It's so bad it's good. If you're planning to watch it yourself, however, I think maybe just take some time to evaluate the life decisions that have got you to that point. So just breaking away from the Conjuring extended universe, the next movie I want to talk about is called Mama. This, in my opinion, was one of the scariest movies we watched. It revolves around a woman and her partner looking after these two like savage wolf 12 children who grew up in the woods with a demon spirit they call Mama, the title of the film. It's very scary, it's pretty engaging, and I think the only way I was able to sit through it without covering my eyes was because my friends kept on playing clips of DJ Khaled going, and another one. Anyway, just following on with the trend of actual scary movies, I want to talk about a film called The Babadook. Jesus Christ, the most terrifying thing in the world. Now call me a PU55Y, but there's nothing scarier than this, like, weird guy in a top hat and a cloak. They give him this really mysterious backstory through this children's book that just appears on the shelf one day. I'm not afraid to say it, it was way too scary for me. I'm surprised I didn't go into cardiac arrest while watching this film, but I think that's because it's really well made and it's actually got a good story, which is more than can be said for most horror movies. It too is out in cinemas right now, and I haven't seen it, but I have seen the first one. I don't really know if I liked it or not. Clowns are pretty scary, and it does have some freaky bits, but it doesn't have any subtlety to it, do you know what I mean? It doesn't have much suspense, in my opinion. Like in The Babadook, they would just drop like top hats and waistcoats just in the background of shots randomly. So you'd just be on edge the whole time. You'd just be like watching a normal conversation and you'd just like soil yourself. Here, I'll put it in some different terms. This is me watching It. Oh. Oh. And now this is me watching Babadook. I guess I would find it a bit more scary if Pennywise was just a bit more normal. Or maybe if he spoke less or something, but it's not bad. You should probably give it a watch if there's nothing else on. Finally, I just wanted to recommend Friday the 13th. It's like the most cliche horror movie ever. Everyone makes stupid decisions. People die in ridiculous ways. The bad guy, Jason, is like the classic serial killer. It's not a good movie at all, but it's very fun to watch with friends. And if you do watch it with friends, here's what I suggest. It's a new and crazy concept that I'm sure no one's ever done before. But what you do is you assign yourself a character at the start, and then you see who survives the longest. And then you can even put like a rule in, which is like, whoever survives the longest gets to go trick-or-treating for an extra hour. Or whoever survives the least has to do a trick. Just a helpful tip. Pick Jason. He gets loads of kills. You'll be racking up the points very quickly. Anyway, those are the horror movies that I can remember, so likelihood is the other ones are probably in that sort of middle ground between bad and good, where they're just kind of boring. Like, I think we watched Cabin in the Woods at some point. Not really my thing, not really for me. Anyway, that's just some of the horror movies I've watched. Happy Halloween, guys. Stay safe out there on the mean streets, guys, because there's just going to be, there's just going to be a load of people, like YouTube pranksters around just pulling tricks. People are just going to be trying to get that clickbait title, So you've got to be careful out there. Have a good one, and goodbye. I think that I just used this like a summon spell. There's a cat in here now.